Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. My name's Anastasia and I'm an English teacher. And today we'll learn whether it's possible to prepare for the IELTS just in 7 days. And I'm going to share some tips with you that will help you to do well in the exam and pass it with flying colors. Let's start out with the listening part. First off, I want to remind you that at the time of the IELTS listening module, you'll be given a single chance to hear the recording. So every minute counts. That's why stay focused and don't let your mind wander, alright? Also, it's crucial to read the instructions very carefully. In fact, you can even underline or circle the instruction regarding how many words you are required to use in the answers, because they change throughout the exam. For example, in the first section of the listening module, you'll be asked to write no more than 3 words and or a number. Then, in the third section, you'll have to write no more than 2 words. And then at the end of the test, in section 4, you'll get an instruction like write 1 word only. So be careful and let's move on. As you know, before each section, you're given time to read the questions before listening. Use that time wisely. Don't waste time on listening to the instructions. It can be a good idea to underline the key words in every question so that you have a complete focus on exactly what you should be listening for. Use this time to decide what information is needed for each gap and try to predict at least the part of speech you're listening to or the meaning of the omitted word or phrase, yeah? And I highly recommend you to spend time on doing such exercises while preparing for the test, even if you have just a week before the test, because forecasting an answer is the greatest technique to use your time before listening productively. And now you can ask me, what should I do if I don't know the meaning or spelling of the word in the exam task? Well, do your best to guess the meaning from the context, listen for an idea being expressed which may be a paraphrase of this word. In fact, hear the recording carefully. Maybe you'll hear the synonym of the key word on recordings and write something in every gap, because intelligent guess may be right and gain a mark. And sometimes a slight variation may be even accepted as correct. Did you know that listening questions also come in order? If you hear that the speaker is discussing something related to the next question, you are likely to have missed the answer. So don't get bogged down on a question. What I mean is that sometimes you'll be completely thrown by one of the questions in the IELTS exam paper, and this could cause you to lose your concentration. But as I said before, concentration is crucial. That's why you just need not to panic, remain calm, and simply move on and give your next question the best shot, as not to lose this mark either. After all, you can even make one mistake and still get a 9. And at the end of each section, you'll be given 30 seconds to check your answers. And as soon as you are done, quickly move to the next section to read the questions and so on. When checking your answers, both at the end of each section and at the end of the test, look through your answers carefully to make sure that your answers haven't exceeded the allowed number of words and numbers. They are grammatically correct and they collocate with the words before and after the gap. Also, you should be very attentive so as to avoid spelling mistakes to get full score. And lastly, if you need to write numbers, write them as figures, not words, as you are less likely to make mistakes. Also, see what answer form is required. If the answer is a letter, for example, A, B, C, D, then don't write any words from the listening. Yeah, be careful again. Now let's discuss what you can do to prepare for the reading task. Well, obviously, if we don't have sufficient time before the exam, The worst thing to do is to spend a lot of time on this section. Reading is very time consuming, you know, and there's no point in doing so. You'd better concentrate on other sections. However, you do need to make sure you won't face time constraints in the exam. That's why do a couple of practice tests. And if you aren't pressed for time, do lots of practice tests. So let me give you some tips that can help you to get better at reading. Sometimes students make a big mistake. They read the whole text and only then read the questions and look for the answers. That's completely wrong. You won't have time for that, especially in the academic test. Read the questions one by one and just move your eyes across the text smoothly in a wave-like motion to find the answers. You do not stop to read details and you don't waste time with unnecessary information. This is called scanning, and we'll talk about this in my next videos, okay? And what else? Alright, you also should fill in the answer sheet as you go, not at the end. And if you can't find the answer to your question, or you're not sure if it's true, false, not given, for example, leave the questions for the end. Otherwise, you'll be wasting valuable time and might lose points on the questions you do know. If you want more on how to improve this section, subscribe to this channel and hit the bell button. Well, now two of my favorite parts of the test, speaking and writing. And these are your productive skills, right? And you are going to demonstrate your active vocabulary and a variety of grammar structures. And I think I'll repeat this again and again in my upcoming lessons because it's crucial. Many test takers just simply don't understand this simple fact. If you're looking for tips and strategies now, or maybe even thinking of taking a course on the Ielts, but your English is not good enough for your desired score, just learn general English, improve your grammar until you are confident, boost your vocabulary, and only then study different strategies. But we're talking about a week before the exam now, right? So here is what you can actually do. The speaking part. You'll need to get into a habit of quickly planning a structure for your content in the few seconds of preparation time. And I know it takes time, but I recommend you to spend some time on this even if there's not much time left before the exam. Unfortunately, it's impossible to score good in this section unless you are already in the habit of speaking English. So try to converse in English whenever you can. And you're quite likely to be asked about various personal topics in part 1 of the speaking test. So it's a good idea to practice talking about yourself before the exam. And usually the examiner will ask you about your work, studies, hometown, your country, or they can simply ask you to talk about yourself. But do not memorize the answers, just jot down as many ideas as you can and practice. It's a good idea to find a partner to practice, or it would be even more productive if you had a lesson with a qualified teacher who will correct your frequent mistakes and help you with developing ideas. Again, I'm not going to go much into detail in this video. I'll make a separate videos about this section, about each section and about each part actually. So some important things have to be mentioned. Expand your answers and never give short one-word answers, but I'm sure you already know about this, right? And also, don't worry about your accent. It's okay, just try to pronounce the words correctly. This is what's important. However, correcting is also totally normal. Be confident, smile, make eye contact. Correcting yourself is also totally normal. Be confident, smile, make eye contact, and that is it. If you don't know what to say, just make up a story. It's great if you have a rich vocabulary on many topics, and you'll be able to adapt your active vocabulary to a particular situation. For example, I remember I was asked to talk about a time when my vehicle broke down. And you might think, oh no, I don't know how to talk about vehicles and I don't even know how parts of the car are called. Well, it doesn't matter. At that time, I was very good at describing places, and a couple of my favorite expressions were like breathtaking views, soaring mountains, crystal clear lakes, and so on. And I made up a story on how I was driving to this particular place and how wonderful it was, and what I expected to see there again, and how I was frustrated because my car stopped in the middle of nowhere. But I could have told the same story if I had been asked to describe a place full of color, or a time weather broke my plans, or the best day in my life, and many others. So 80–90% of the questions fit into the categories of people, places, action, things, and times. And make sure you have the vocabulary and grammar to be able to deal with almost any question that comes up in the exam. And in my opinion, even 7 days is enough to make notes, to be able to describe at least a person, like age, appearance, character trait, and so on, a place, a city, a countryside, and just some colorful place, the seaside, the mountains, and so on, yeah? Also some other topics like family and friendship, work, music, art, environment, technology, space, maybe food, clothes, yeah? Maybe something else, but these are core topics, and if you have enough ideas for these, you'll be able to make something up, like I did. And if you couldn't get what the examiner said, it's okay to ask to repeat their question. And my last tip is, don't forget to check your speaking test schedule through your test center account. If the speaking test takes place in the afternoon right after the writing test, also make sure to bring some water and food so that you can feel comfortable when facing the examiners. I think I'm already talking too much, and I'll make a separate video for the writing test because it's the most challenging one, and there's much to be said, especially if we are talking about how to prepare only in 7 days. And I also would like to give some general pieces of advice on how to prepare. This is how I see it. Every morning, except for the last day before the exam, take a full-length practice test, except the speaking section, to emulate the real exam. And what's important, set a time limit for each section. We do this to practice timing, and I'd like to remind you that it's 30 plus 10 minutes for listening if it's a paper-based test, and 30 plus just 2 minutes for computer-based, 60 minutes for the writing, and 60 for the reading. And after analyzing your mistakes, work on this speaking part. Look for the ideas, vocabulary, and have speaking lessons with your partner or a teacher. And secondly, believe it or not, but time spent on revision is enormously productive. And it's quite important to review the past practice test you have completed to remind yourself on your common mistakes. On the last day before the test, forget about doing practice tests. Since practice tests are so time-consuming, you want to avoid feeling burnout. Also, it would cause more pressure if you don't do well. So on this day, look through all your writings to remind yourself of some expressions, sentence structures, and arguments. Then speak as much as possible. Repeat the topics you were able to write, and prepare everything you need for the next day, like your ID, registration number, and water. And try to relax and sleep early. You can watch English news and listen to music before going to bed. What I did was I listened to one of my favorite podcasts, and it was something about weather. And I imagined telling this story to the examiner. And to my surprise, I got a related topic and was able to use some of those ideas and vocabulary from the podcast. So please take enough rest and eat well before the test, because there are no intervals between the tests, and you need to have energy and presence of mind while writing the test. This is all for today. I hope this will help you to manage your time wisely while preparing for the Ielts exam and do your best during the test. So thank you guys so much for watching this video up to the very end. And if you are not subscribed to my channel, and if you are learning English, you are missing out on a lot of free content that I'm posting every week. So Hit the subscribe button, like the video, share it with your friends, and see you soon. Bye!